I've never seen a diamond in the flesh. I cut my teeth on wedding rings.
Dude, that's pretty cool.
Man,
I'm the
that
sad
is a
clown.
sad clown.
Proud of my address.
Dude, that's pretty good.
This is The Gloom, bringing you weekly interviews with F3 Omaha Packs, exploring their F3 experiences and finding those sticky elements that create the glue in the gloom.
So, today we've got a special guy on the cast. He's looking good in his Chris Gradaville camouflage hat, although the listeners can't see him. This man was recently the site Q at Heavy Metal, and man, I got to be at the Shovel Pass. Was really a cool experience. But we've got our man Spacebar on the call today, and where we'd like to start off really is just tell us about the first workout that you attended, who EH'd, and where'd you get the name Spacebar?
Thanks for having me on. Yeah, so I guess my EH was kind of a long struggle for Folsom. I've known Folsom for, I don't know, 15 or 20 years. And I guess about 4 years ago, he started talking to me about this weird group that he was hanging out with and working out in the mornings. And at that time, I was working out at a gym over the noon hour at my work and riding a bunch of road bike. And so I thought I was in pretty good shape and easily dismissed it. So his EHing tactics were not very good. Just joking, Folsom, we love you. So he had worked on me for a couple of years. And like I said, easily dismissed. But then, so my family and I are members at Sunset Hills Pool. And 2 years ago, I started kind of hanging out with Folsom and a bunch of other guys who were members of the pool, like Safe Ride, Bloodshot, Tenderfoot, and a few other guys. Sorry, I'm drawing a blank. But they started talking to me about F3, and slowly, kind of over time, I've witnessed their friendship and them talking about what happened earlier in the day in the gloom, and just kind of started getting more exposure to F3, especially the second F side, through hanging out with them at the pool and seeing their friendship and that. So I kept on saying no for a while, but then towards the late summer, I finally broke down and said, you know what, let me finish out my summer being a lazy sad clown. And I told them I committed to posting the day after summer ends, which for me is usually the day after Labor Day. So I posted that following Tuesday at the Coliseum. Wide Right was on the queue, and quickly I learned that I was not anywhere in near as good shape as I thought I was. We did a grinder, doing some lunges and stuff, like out to the 35, and the following few days I couldn't even walk. I was so sore. So those guys who post after their first day and continue to post right away, kudos to you guys, because it kicked my butt. It was awesome, and I knew that I wanted more of it right away. So I don't think I posted again until Friday or Saturday of that week. Spacebar came about. I'm a computer nerd, and so when I was telling the packs about myself that first morning, one of the things I said is, I'm a computer nerd, and as a hobby, I like to build my own keyboards. So I think Stella said home row or something like that first, and then said Spacebar, and that's what Wide Right gravitated towards, and that's it.
Nice. Who actually got the credit for the E8 there? It sounds like you got to know a bunch of guys before actually posting. So who was the one that actually dragged you out?
I gave the credit to Folsom because he worked on me the longest, even though he maybe wasn't the most effective. But yeah, it was really cool to see the second F aspect of F3 before I ever understood or was exposed to the first F. So
yeah, I mean that's kind of in the opposite flow of how it normally works, I guess, right? And normally you're challenging a guy to come work out because you think you're doing this badass workout, and you're trying to convince the guy that he needs it and he's not as in shape as he thinks he is, and then the second F starts to come. So you being able to have some of that second F interaction beforehand, but I mean, I just think that's unique. Not a lot of guys get to experience that, so that's pretty cool. Maybe you can talk to us. I'm assuming the second F continued even after your first few posts.
Oh yeah, coffee. I started going to coffee right away, and just enjoyed that just as much. And the friendships that I've made, outside of the pool group, is just amazing. So yeah, I've met countless guys that have impacted me throughout these about 2 years that I've been posting, and it is phenomenal. The first F, to me is just the beginning, right? It's a good foundation, but the thing that keeps you coming back are seeing everybody's face on a daily basis and talking to them and understanding what they're going through in their own lives and seeing them progress as men is what really brings us all back, I think.
I love that. I'm curious if so you were witnessing these guys that were in F3, and I heard this morning it referred to as adult recess, but what did you notice? Like because it sounds like maybe there's something just that you noticed different about their relationships with each other than with you. Can you clue in on what that was, or maybe it's hard to pinpoint, but just kind of a feeling of FOMO almost, of like there's something that they've got that I'm not a part of? Or
Sure, absolutely, yeah. It just the way that they were relaxed with each other and the camaraderie that you could tell that they were sharing. And I was hanging out with them, but I obviously wasn't part of it because I wasn't sharing those experiences every day in those mornings. So yeah, FOMO right away. But they were good enough to explain to me, kind of how F3 works and a lot of the exercises that they were doing, just because we're hanging out quite a bit at the pool. Because it was kind of during COVID, the initial shutdown. So we spent a lot of time at that pool because there wasn't really much else to do. So yeah, just getting to know them, hanging out, and them always talking about the different things that they were doing in the mornings, and the second F and third F events that they were doing even during COVID. That yeah, it was quite apparent that their friendships were real, and FOMO was there pretty quick.
I mean, there's something about sharing in the suck together, right? I mean, that doesn't sound the greatest now that I just said that out loud, but like sharing and shared experience of suffering, I guess, would maybe be a better way to phrase that. But just kind of allow the guys to just cut through the BS. I mean, Blake and I talk about it all the time. There's like, when you're getting your butt kicked, I mean, your ego is checked at the door as soon as you're sucking down air for 30 minutes. So it is unique.
Yeah, hardship forges bonds, right? In a lot of ways. I was lucky enough to go down with Rollbar and Wentworth a few weeks ago to a grill ruck event, and that night I witnessed guys being challenged in ways that I have never seen before, and it was amazing to watch from a support point of view. And even though I didn't go through that level of suck that night, I will forever remember that night for what those guys went through, and the bonds that were made that night by those 38 guys, I think it was. But yeah, the events which test you and you share that with other men, that's what really helps forge those bonds.
Yeah, I agree. I think, and they talk about it a little bit in Free to Lead, right? They talk about the sifter and all the different friends that you have over the course of your life. Curious, did you read Free to Lead? Did you is that a book that you've read? And you feel like talk to me a little bit about that. As you read that, did you see elements of your life or yourself in that, or did you identify within that book?
Yeah, absolutely. The sifter, what was it? The bull. It's been quite a while since I read it, but the bowling ball of being stationary and trying to get it to move, and then once it's in motion, it stays in motion. Yeah, we've all had people come into our lives and leave that, the sifter is real, in that the bonds that we try to make through F3 shield lock, are those people who actually we do care about each other and aren't going to fall through that sifter. So yeah, the Free to Lead book was great. It did speak to me in a lot of ways. And if anybody hasn't read it, get a copy, and I think it's enlightening and eye-opening in how much a guy can relate to it.
I keep waiting for us to ask that question, and I'm waiting for the one guy to say, "Yeah, I read it and didn't touch me at all." Zero application of what's going on in my life. Who knows? I mean, maybe on guest 157, they'll finally speak up and say something about how it was for them. But I mean, I completely agree.
I think it's probably a sad clown at that point, right?
Maybe a sad clown in denial. Yeah, just doesn't realize he's a sad clown or doesn't want to be labeled.
Right.
A lot of times we ask guys about their experiences outside of just the posts themselves and outside of cafeterias. We have book clubs, we have, small groups, Free to Lead discussions, things like, you just went to a Grow Ruck event. Can you talk a little bit about those and your experiences in those different avenues that just aren't necessarily a workout AO?
Yeah, I've been lucky enough to attend several third F events that Wentworth and other guys have coordinated, and I've brought my family a few times, and my son and I worked down at the Heartland Hope several times, and spending time with him, helping out such places just rewarding as all heck. Giving back, F3's mission is to plant, grow, and serve small workout groups for the reinvigoration of male community leadership, and that male community leadership and being involved in your community is. I wasn't necessarily doing anything like that prior to F3, so the friendships that I've made, the bonds that I've made, has allowed me to get out there and give back in several ways. So it's great. It's great, fulfilling, and I'll continue to do it as long as I can. So it's really a great thing to do. So
I love that. And you referenced the shield lock. Have you had a chance to do any Q source reading or any of the Q source discussions, or what's been your take on that?
I've sat in on a few. I haven't been able to make it to very many, just because I don't frequent the sites that do the Q Q source afterwards. But the Q source discussions that I have sat in on have been fantastic. You just go in deep detail on a lot of things that Free to Lead touches on, and the insight that guys share, their experiences, their take on specific things. Just, I always learn more by listening than speaking, so the life lessons that others have, that they have shared at those meetings is phenomenal, and just learn so much from them.
Yeah, you made a comment there about the third F events and you're taking your son. And, when I think about the Q source, one of the topics in there, you think about the concentrica and your shorties, and just kind of this idea that the high impact man should not underestimate the impact you have on your children, and just thinking about the roots you're laying there by involving your kids in serving others. It's just, I love hearing that. So thanks for sharing that example. I want to talk a little bit too, when you think about fitness fellowship and faith, right? Obviously faith is a part of that. What's been your experience or your journey from a faith perspective? Where are you at today?
Yeah. To be honest, I don't go to church a whole heck of a lot, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I don't believe in God or anything like that. I pray regularly. I just don't necessarily identify with a church, even though I do belong to one. I just, I guess as a personal decision, my family and I just don't typically go a whole lot, but that doesn't mean that, to me, that has little to do, for me personally, whether the impact on my spirituality. So yes, I am a Christian, and I believe in God and Jesus Christ, but yeah, the thing that my shield lock and I talk about quite regularly is, the spirituality that we all share, in that how your belief system impacts your daily life, and I am no different in that way as well. So I guess that's my best answer.
Well, no, I certainly appreciate you answering. And again, I think that's the beauty of F3, is that everyone's answer to that question can and should be different, right? In some way or another. One, because everyone's walking a different life, right? Everyone's got their own spiritual guidelines that they're following, or however they feel. I mean, Plague likes to say that, we'll take a guy that worships a rock. If that's his higher being, that's his higher being. We don't really care. And then two, I mean, it's important because we're getting that other perspective, right? I mean, I think it can be detrimental to have a concentrated group of people that only think one way, and one linear way, and do things in one way. So having your viewpoint, although may be different than mine, is of the utmost importance to the survival of a group like this, right?
Open to all men.
That's right.
Yeah, the beauty too, I think, is also, we're creating space for guys to have a higher power outside of themselves. And some guys, based on what their life has been like, they don't have a concept of that. And so having different men around them to give them examples, I think, is key. The only wrong answer to that question is if you say that you are the higher power. Then I would have some words to say in response to that. But that was, so I love your answer. And I think part of what you're illustrating too, Spacebar, is until we go through the challenges together, until we establish some relationship, faith is a tough thing to talk about, right? You can't just meet somebody on the street and say, here, believe these three things, right? I mean, I think the relationship is so key. And I know in my past, I remember in like Campus Crusade days, there was a time where I thought, if you give the person this 3 little track book, they read the thing and their life is changed forever. And that's just not how it works, right? It takes time to build relationships and faith. So thanks for being vulnerable and sharing that. I would also.
And I am taking followers, by the way. If you're needing a higher power, you can look to me.
No way. I do think the other cool piece of your journey that I feel like I've witnessed a part of this, but want to hear it from your perspective. But so we try to get every guy to lead a workout, right? So I would love to hear, how did your VQ go? What was that like? And then you were selected to become the site Q at Heavy Metal. And so talk to us about those kind of leadership opportunities. How did those things go? And maybe how did they help?
Sure. So my VQ was, probably a little over a month after I started posting. Stella bagged me for the Coliseum. And so I get pretty nervous about such things. I don't tend to think of myself as a leader or one who gravitates towards such positions. So I knew it was better to get it out of the way real quick. So when he hit me up to cue my first workout, I immediately said yes, just to get it out of the way. I thought it went pretty well. I just remember doing a 3-man grinder from end zone to end zone with a 3 burpee tacks at midfield or whatever. And I think I tried to judge how much guys were sweating at the end. And I think I succeeded in that realm, and that most guys were sweating. So I messed up something with the COT and Mary. I think I got out of sequence or something like that. So it was by no means flawless. It's always a learning challenge. So it went pretty well, I thought. As far as site Q at Heavy, again, it was probably a little less than 6 months after I started posting. Baymax just approached me one day after Heavy, where I had been posting pretty regularly. And I don't remember exactly how he said it, but he said, "Hey, you interested in being the next site Q?" And two thoughts immediately went through my head at the same time. And one of them was, "Are you freaking crazy?" And the other one was, "Hell yes." But the thing I told him was, "Yeah, let me think about it." But I knew immediately that, F3 challenges us in different ways, either whether it be physically every morning, socially and spiritually with the second and third F every day. Leadership is a key component of F3, and I know that F3 is here to challenge me in every way possible. And so taking on a leadership role at Heavy, I knew I had to do it. I knew it might not be the easiest thing for me to do, but I'm not going to grow as a man if I continue to deny or pass on offers like this. So I think the following Wednesday or whatever, I told Theta that, yeah, I'll do it. And it was rewarding. I think I shared during the shovel flag pass that, asking for help and getting out and talking to guys that I don't necessarily know very well is not always the most easiest thing for me, but asking guys to lead a workout week after week and, getting outside of my comfort zone, I got more out of it. I guarantee you that I got more out of it than Heavy got out of it for, I learned a lot. So it was a great experience. I thank Beta for giving me that opportunity, and I thank everyone for everyone who queued and supported heavy during that time and continue to support it. It's the guys who are site queues, you know, we can't do this without the packs who post, the packs who lead, and it's very rewarding.
I really want to, I think that's great. And I really do want to emphasize one thing, I guess one viewpoint that you're getting that we don't hear a lot of. Because you go on and you take a site for those who have had a site or are looking into taking a site. You really come in thinking, okay, what can I do for this site? You know, how is the site going to be better under my leadership or after my leadership? And not many people think about what you just said is like, okay, what does this site do for me? Like, what did leading this site do for me as a leader, as a man, and to develop my character? And I love that. I mean, I when I was walking away from the woodshed, I'm like, man, I honestly think the woodshed may be exactly the same or maybe even a little bit worse under my leadership. But I am so grateful for the opportunity that it gave me to try and become a leader and try to instill in things in me that I don't think I would have got outside of that opportunity. So I really do think that is just such a great point that is overlooked so often by guys, and that guys want to come in and try and fix the problem, not realizing that being a site queue is like the tool to becoming a leader, right? You're not this well-established leader and you're taking over a site. It's part of the process, and it's still honing in those skills, and you're always working towards being a better leader. So I love that. And you know, you got to share that. You got to pass that along to someone else, and maybe you can talk about that. How did you know it was time? Who were you looking for? I guess what was going through your mind at the time of passing it over?
Yeah, Folsom mentioned the other day, right after the shovel flag passed, that it only took us 4 site queues to actually find a guy who looks like he should lead heavy metal. So, yeah, Dollface is a ripped guy, loves heavy. So when I took heavy over, my only real goal was, like you kind of mentioned about the woodshed, is I didn't want to kill heavy. I didn't want to be the reason why heavy shut down, and because it's just a great site, and you know, it's a unique site in that it draws a certain number of guys that post regularly. And Dollface early on, I think we were running at I don't remember where we were running. We were running side by side. Maybe it was a pre-run at heavy. But a month or so after he started posting, he's like, you know what? I just love heavy metal. It's just he said it was something like his favorite AO, and when he said that, I immediately knew, like, I'm going to test that someday. I'm going to test how much you actually like heavy metal, and so he was on my radar for quite a while. And then during this winter CSOP, towards the end, we were running together back towards Oracle, I think, and I asked him, and I think he kind of had the same reaction as I did when Beta asked me, and that he's like, me? Really? Why? You know, it was, but I think his answer was pretty quick as well, and that he would take it. And his Twitter game is phenomenal. He's doing a heck of a job already, and I know he's gonna leave heavy better than he found it as well. So.
Yeah, you also helped us to elevate some of our respect packs, right, to a leadership role. We had previously been fairly young on that side, so I love seeing the respect guys. I want to shed a little bit of light, though. So I think there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that people may not realize you helped us with as a site queue of heavy. So, you know, I remember a time where we were like, numbers at heavy were through the roof. We're kind of thinking about, okay, do we need another weight site? Are we gonna, you know? And I think there was some conversation that you helped us with there too. That, you know, I think from a leadership perspective, we can't do that without the site queues being engaged with the guys at their site. The other thing that I notice about you, Spacebar, as a leadership quality in this group is you you really care about other people. I was just looking through some of my text messages, and I've gotten a couple times a text from you about a guy IVH that hasn't shown up, and you're checking in, just checking to see how somebody's doing, which is phenomenal. And then the other one, a little comical, but it wasn't at the time. I got a call from you and Beta, and I think Patton had, basically we thought Patton had a heart attack, but it was just maybe some broken ribs. But you drove him to the hospital, right? I mean, you are clearly putting others before yourself. What do you think it is that inspires you to do that? What is it about serving other people that motivates you?
Like you said, I get, you care for those people who are in your life. It doesn't matter if, you know, they're your M or your 2.0s or whatever. The people who you regularly see, you can't help but, you know, care for them and want to make sure that they're doing okay. So yeah, when Patton got hurt, or if you guys that haven't posted a while, I don't know them well enough to text them outright, but I know, you know, who their friends are, and it's, life is a struggle, right? So bad things happen all the time, and when somebody's going through a rough spot, it means something. I think, at least when somebody reaches out to me, you know, and just, how you doing? Is everything okay? Means the world to me, and I just have to assume that others feel the same way, right? So yeah, it's again, I'm trying to also test myself in reaching out to others, and I don't always view myself as the most thoughtful or sympathetic person, but I'm trying to work on that. And so when maybe somebody hasn't posted for quite a while and something's wrong, or they've got other things going on in their life, sometimes just reaching out and making that contact, and, you know, making sure that they are as well as possible and okay, goes a long ways for them. So yeah, it sucks when somebody gets hurt or something goes on in their lives where they can't post for a while, or just stop posting altogether. Sometimes letting them know that they're missed and valued, and maybe to get back out there, just that little nudge is all that they need. So just try to do what you would like to see, you know, done in return. So.
All right, well, let me ask you this. Is there anything that we need to be thinking about you for, prayers or anything, that if the guys see you out in the gloom, that maybe some words of encouragement they could offer you?
So I just came off a sickness, a bad chest infection, where I didn't post for 2 weeks. And I am probably in the worst shape I've been in since joining F3, since that initial hump, you know, of posting, you know. So I'm not happy with where I'm at right now, from a first F standpoint, and I've been battling plantar fasciitis a little bit, so I haven't been running. Winter, yada yada yada. There's many reasons that I'm not where I want to be. So, but just knowing that everybody's going to be out there every morning, I need to do better. I probably should have done Queen service this time around, but I'm not. I want to do it. I just want to do it on my own and make sure that I can. The accountability aspect of Queen service is very important, but I also want to make sure that I can do it, be accountable to myself. So several guys reached out when I hadn't posted over the last 2 weeks or whatever, and it was nice. It was nice to see. Yeah, it sucks not being out there, but I'm out there now and trying to get a little bit fitter every day. So, yeah.
Awesome. We'll be sure to keep that in mind. We've been Also asking guys, what sort of advice or encouragement would you have for maybe a new guy at F&G, maybe a new site queue, anything that you feel like you've learned over the last 2 years that you would share with the packs?
I would say continue posting for several different reasons. One, to be more fit. If you only post once a week or whatever, try posting twice. Up that to 3 times. More often that you post, obviously, the more fit you will become, and hopefully be more fulfilled in life because you feel better about yourself for being more fit. Also, getting up every morning like that makes it gets easier. The Tuesday and Wednesday when I posted for the first time in 2 weeks, I was tired. I mean, just how fast you lose that daily schedule of getting up at 5, 4:30 or 5. It gets easier with routine. The other reasons to keep on posting is to make those bonds. I mean, you might not necessarily find a best friend or new friends at F3 after your first workout, but go to coffee, talk with other guys, and I think sooner or later you're bound to find someone who you can relate to, get to know, maybe even join a shield lock eventually. And once you get to that level, F3 turns into something else other than just a workout group. It allows you to make bonds and friendships that actually make a difference to in your lives. So my advice to new packs is to keep at it, because things will change over time, hopefully get better, and become a better person for it. Like I've kind of alluded to a few times, when Folsom started talking to me about this group, it was very easy for me to dismiss it. But now that I've embraced it and leaned in, the meaning of F3 to me has changed and evolved over time to something much deeper than it might appear on the surface. And that depth there is the guys that you meet, and the guys that you meet and hang out with do have a true impact on your life, and it's for all the better, in my opinion.
Well said. Well, I'll start us off with Namarama here. Brandon Flehardy, 36, The Plague.
The Plague. John Mover, 30, Pony Express.
Pony, man.
Guest Coast 45, Spacebar.
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 Nice job, man.
Thank you, brother.
Hey, thanks for your time today. Appreciate you sharing your story, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.